This dynamic has been in place ever since we were kids, and it's something I've grown all too familiar with over the years. It's like she could do no wrong in my mom's eyes while I was constantly trying to live up to an impossible standard. It's the kind of favoritism that you can almost feel physically, like a weight pressing down on you whenever you're compared to her. Growing up, it seemed like my sister could do whatever she wanted without ever facing any real consequences. If she got caught on a bad grade on a test, my mom would brush it off with a laugh, saying she must have been tired or distracted. If I got a similar grade though, it was a full-blown crisis, and I'd have to sit through a lecture about how I needed to apply myself more and work harder. And it wasn't just academics. It extended to extracurriculars, social interactions, and even personal achievements. No matter what I did, it always felt like I was living in the shadow of her successes. I've done everything to try to get my mom's attention and approval, spent countless hours studying, participating in numerous extracurricular activities, and even tried to mirror my sister's interests, hoping that maybe then I'd get a bit of that attention. But it's like nothing I do ever measures up to what my sister accomplishes. I've been through so many moments where I try to share some of my own achievements or happy moments only to be met with a half-hearted nod or a quick change of subject. It's like all my efforts to stand out and make a mark are just invisible to her unless it's convenient for her to acknowledge me. So when I got engaged, I was absolutely thrilled. I had this huge burst of excitement imagining that this was finally going to be my moment. I thought maybe, just maybe, this would be the time when my mom would finally give me the attention and approval I've been craving for so long. My fiancé and I had been together for 5 wonderful years, and we were both beyond excited to start this next chapter of our lives. We had spent countless hours dreaming about our wedding, talking through all the little details and planning everything meticulously to make sure it was a day that truly reflected who we were as a couple. I was hoping that my mom would be as excited as I was and that maybe she'd even share in our enthusiasm for this new chapter. After all, this was a big milestone in my life, and I had always hoped that my mom would be a major part of it. But as it turns out, I was sorely mistaken. As soon as I announced our wedding date to her, the first thing out of her mouth wasn't a heartfelt congratulations or an enthusiastic "I'm so happy for you." Instead, her immediate response was, "But your sister just got married this year. Are you sure you want to do this now?" It felt like a punch in the gut. I mean, I had expected something positive, something that reflected the excitement and joy I was feeling. Instead, I was met with an almost dismissive tone that seemed to downplay the significance of my own special day. It was as if the news of my engagement had barely registered with her, and her only concern was that my wedding might somehow overshadow my sister's. I tried to explain that our wedding was planned for a different part of the year and that we had chosen the date with careful consideration. I thought she might understand that this was not about competing or trying to take away from my sister's happiness, but no. It seemed like she was so caught up in the idea of not wanting to create any sort of competition that she couldn't see how much this meant to me. Like, are you kidding me? It's not like I planned my wedding to spite my sister or anything. Our dates just happen to fall in the same year, and let's be real, people get married in the same year all the time. It's not a big deal, or at least it shouldn't be. But in my mom's world, everything revolves around my sister, and I'm just the side character. I tried to brush it off at first, thinking that maybe once my mom saw how genuinely happy I was about my wedding, she'd come around and be excited for me too. I figured that with time, she might shift her focus and start to support this new chapter in my life. In an effort to make things easier for her, I even offered to scale down our plans and have a smaller, more intimate ceremony if that would make her feel more comfortable. I wanted her to be a part of our celebration, and I thought that maybe if we adjusted things to fit her comfort level, she might be willing to reconsider her stance. But despite my efforts to accommodate her concerns, she wasn't having any of it. Her response was pretty much the same every time we talked about it. She said she didn't want to split her focus between 2 weddings in the same year because it would somehow take away from my sister's special moment. And honestly, I was left dumbfounded. I mean, seriously? What? My sister already had her special moment. She had the big extravagant wedding, the lavish reception, the whole 9 yards. My mom was there, right at the center of it all, basking in the spotlight and soaking up all the praise and attention. It was her time to shine, and she did so with all the pomp and circumstance you could imagine. So now it's my turn, and suddenly it feels like I'm in some sort of competition where I'm being accused of stealing something that was never mine to begin with. It's baffling and quite frankly hurtful to think that my own special day is being dismissed or minimized because it might somehow overshadow my sister's wedding. It feels like I'm being punished for simply wanting to celebrate my love and start my own life with my fiancé. I thought about all the ways my mom had been the center of attention during my sister's wedding. She had been at the forefront, eagerly showing off the wedding photos, recounting every detail of the day to anyone who would listen. It was as if my sister's wedding was the only event that mattered, and everything else was secondary. And now when it's my turn to have a moment of joy and celebration, my mom is acting like my wedding is somehow a threat to that precious spotlight. Even though I was deeply hurt, I tried to remain focused on what mattered to me and my fiancé. We had put so much effort into planning our wedding, and I wanted it to be a day filled with love and happiness, not overshadowed by family drama. So we continued with our preparations, determined to make it a special day for ourselves and the guests who truly wanted to be there. But with every passing day leading up to the wedding, it became increasingly clear that my mom wasn't going to change her mind. Her insistence on not splitting her focus and her comments about how my wedding might take away from my sister's special moment was starting to feel more like excuses than legitimate concerns. It was as if she was using this as a way to justify her decision not to attend rather than facing the reality that she simply didn't want to be a part of it. After a few more conversations, and by conversations I mean arguments, it became clear that my mom wasn't going to budge. She flat out told me that she wouldn't be coming to my wedding because it would be too much for her to handle. She said she didn't want to hurt my sister's feelings or make her feel less special. Honestly, I was floored. It's not like I was asking her to choose between us. But by refusing to attend my wedding, she made it clear where her priorities lie. At that point, I was done trying to appease her. I just couldn't keep bending over backwards to accommodate my mom's absurd reasoning any longer. It was beyond frustrating, and honestly, I wasn't about to let her ridiculous excuses ruin what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. I mean, this was my wedding we were talking about, something I had been dreaming about for ages. I wasn't going to let her unwillingness to support me take away from the joy and excitement of it all. So with a mix of determination and defiance, I decided to move forward with the wedding planning without her.